I've already turned down the lights here. Massive economic measures are now being taken here on the Camino, because there are simply too many people on the road. The road has become crumbly. The beautiful raked gravel paths have been disorganized. People stumble, fall down, even have to be taken to the hospital. And this morning the Spanish news said that the Camino section between this place and Santiago de Compostela will be closed due to urgent construction work. So this is my last video. I'm afraid I have to give up. I just got a ticket there from the bus to Madrid, and from there there's a 10 euro plane back to Cologne, district of Kalk. You better watch out! And from there, I'll have to see how I go on. I don't know yet. But for now, thanks for watching. Maybe I continue this tour next year. You never know. They'll just have to fix it. There's nothing you can do. But now, I'm going to treat myself to a bread. Okay, alright. Take care, guys and girls. And I'll see you back home. Wait a second, I just got a message. Road is fine again. However, the whale will now go to the lab and be reverse engineered. Hä? Good morning. I got up a bit late today, around 8 AM. I have 30 kilometers ahead of me. Now I've just arrived in the first village. Yes, good morning. I can give a partial all clear. The roads are clear again. However, some pilgrims have collapsed in the path and fallen down a few meters. Underground facilities opened up, and a team of researchers then found a whale wearing an astronaut's helmet. Yes, a poor thing. The whale was probably still alive and they tried to communicate with it. Its last words were... Eric von Däniken has been informed that other guys who love the pre-astronautic stuff. He was shocked, of course, but he's writing a book about it. Let's see what happens. Phew, I'm reassured. I saved my ticket to Madrid for my next trip to Spain, though. You never know. Mike and Gio have already left before me. I trot along behind. Yesterday I actually met a German pilgrim from Berlin. Greetings at this point. She works as a tourist guide and knew much more about these little places and their history than Wikipedia. I was quite flabbergasted. Well, the first half of the day was windy, kind of bleak. And then something happened in Sahagún that made me, let's put it this way, I've experienced Camino magic before, but at the latest there were no more doubts that such a thing really exists. And even if it's a bit private, I'd like to tell you about it right away. I arrived very late in Sahagún and did not attend the pilgrims service at the bridge. I also missed the service in Roncesvalles. I set off without a blessing. Most of the churches on the way that I wanted to enter were closed, except in Burgos, but there I was also just a tourist, even though I had not set out with the express intention of seeking God. I thought it was a pity. It was not meant to be, I thought. The next place is Sahagún, and in this place there is supposedly a half-time Compostela. I still don't know where exactly. It seems to be a bigger town. I guess I'll have to ask around. Before that, I'll find something to eat and drink. It's quite cold. I have aches and pains, a cough, a cold, but otherwise I feel quite well. A little sad and exhausted, I sat alone for a while in front of this church. There was no one there. I thought, there is no such thing for me on this journey. The good Lord and I, we don't meet. I can understand that. I was never a good Christian, at all. Never thought about this. Then I noticed an old man stooping and walking towards me. Instinctively, I reached into my pocket to give the beggar a coin. But then the man grabbed my shoulder and his forehead touched mine. It all happened so quickly that I barely had time to react. The man said a prayer in Spanish. I understood nothing. But the melody of a prayer was unmistakable. Only the last word seemed familiar. He took hold of both my shoulders and looked at me with a smile. Then he touched my forehead and went on. Thank you. I must have looked like a poodle who had mistaken his basket for a bathtub. And I did that for a good 10 minutes before I shook myself. My friends, we are in the fade-in, the cinematic fade-in, to the spiritual part of our journey. This is now supposed to be the middle part of the Camino Santiago de Compostela, and there are probably several middle parts. There is a very official part, there is another very official part. These are just two pillars outside the town. They date back to the Middle Ages. They mark the center of the medieval way. But this part towards Sahagún can also be called the middle. And then there is supposed to be a third place. But I haven't found it, and there is no Compostela. So it may be that there is one, but there are different statements. Some say yes, others say no, and still others say, I haven't heard of that. It's windy. The Camino is where the green strip is. I go straight on, or I just take the bus. No, of course I won't. It's only 2 hours and 40 minutes. I can do that. It's only 14 kilometers or so to go. But it's really not exciting again today. By the way, that thing you hear in the background is the wind. Wind that got stronger with every hour. And then I'm in El Burgo Ranero. Hard to believe. I'm pretty exhausted. Not physically, but mentally. It was hard today. Really hard. I could have fallen into bed in Sahagún already. But I made it. I don't see a single pilgrim, just some cats. Some of them like me, but one of them doesn't like me. Shit happens. That's life. The wind was hard, but I arrived. That's nice. Now let's see if Mike is here yet. I think so. Mike is already waiting in the albergue and we eat a really tasty pilgrim's menu and then I walk on. But in my own dreamland. Good night. Oh no, wait. First, the recap video. Enjoy! We have 30 kilometers behind us today, from Terradillos to El Burgo. Tomorrow we will go to Mansilla, which is only 20 kilometers. That's where we've already booked a place. And yes, I'm reporting straight from the bed, because we are done. We are done with the world. The 30 kilometers were windy. Windy as hell. Yes, the wind was extreme today. This stage is considered a desert stage. Still, everything was really green. You just have to go at a different time of the year to see the desert. The first hour from Terradillos was quite nice. It was quiet and I also saw some pilgrims. After that, I didn't see anyone. I was then in this town where the middle of the Camino is, Sahagún. The beginnings of this town were really a very ugly industrial area. But then it became much nicer and there were churches to admire, beautiful bar streets and so on. Then I strolled through the alleys, met the two Germans again and had a chat with them, right at the archway that marks the middle of the Camino. I was told, however, that there is a second center, which was the center of the Camino in the Middle Ages, but I didn't find these remains of an archway. Then I wondered if there was somewhere this halfway Compostela, but the locals heard about it for the first time, and the monastery was unfortunately not open. They always open at noon. So after a delicious coffee, I went to a bar where there were, shall we say, some animal carcasses. Huge carcasses that were on display, but you could also buy them. Huge, 2 meters tall, in glass cabinets. I wonder how you are supposed to carry something like that on your own if you buy it. It was really strange. I then stood at the counter and ordered a coffee. But I got a tortilla in return. Yes, my pronunciation wasn't that bad, but the others felt the same. They also got something to eat. In the meantime, I know that this is part of the game. You order something to drink, but you definitely get something to eat, whether you want it or not. If you order a coffee, they might just give you something to eat. That's actually quite nice. That's how it is. Afterwards, I went to the supermarket and filled up my supplies. Then I moved on and it was actually only windy. There was another place where I had a coffee and then it was windy again and that was exhausting. But I've already said the whole Camino is like a metaphor for your own life. The beginning is a beautiful view and then it's all downhill. No, I'm just kidding. But there are stages where you are alone. You only perceive 3 or 4 out colors, nothing else, and you're alone with your thoughts. And when there is this wind, which many pilgrims also mirror to me, then you don't get the time to reflect yourself at all. You just want to go on. You don't think so much. You just want to get through the wind. So it's boring and it also puts you in a really bad mood. And that's what happens in life sometimes, that you go through phases where you don't feel well for a long period of time. And it's all monotony, pure monotony around you. And we all know that. And I tried to accept it. So, in the curse of walking. But spoiler alert, I didn't succeed. But it's not bad either. But I was then gifted with an encounter with 2 or 3 cats that didn't just keep their distance like other cats I've actually met. But these cats just came up to me, let me pet them, sought contact, and yeah, that was quite nice. The hostel we are in now serves insanely good food and has a wonderful hot shower. The warm hot shower we enjoyed here, this is the first thing we did. Yes, and that was the day today. Tomorrow it's 20 kilometers and then we'll already be in Lyon on Monday. Lyon, a big city, and the day after tomorrow it's only 17 kilometers. That means a very, very easy walk. And maybe it's common among pilgrims you can shorten the last stretch to Lyon by bus, because it's supposed to be a very ugly industrial area where it's not nice. And there's nothing wrong with taking the bus for 5 minutes. Let's see what we do. We've already booked. We found a place in the center. Again, super cheap, especially if you're traveling with 2 or 3 friends. We only pay 20 euros for the room. So 20 euros every one of us. And I'm looking forward to it. Yes, tomorrow morning we'll have breakfast here. Tomorrow is not such a long walk. So you can have a nice breakfast, and I'm already looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I have to say that I have only had one good breakfast so far, and that was in Najera, as far as I remember. The breakfast was great, but that's not because of the people who make breakfast or the restaurants or anything else. It's because it's not the same everywhere in the world. So you don't get the big menu with cornflakes. Sometimes in the albergue you get that, but you can't count on that. There doesn't seem to be any kind of Spanish breakfast either. I assumed that there was, but because there are typical dishes all over the world. Like breakfast in England, for example, you know what you are going to get. In France, in America. So here's a little anecdote at the end. When I set out at the beginning in the monastery of Roncesvalles, I walked into a cafe full of self-confidence at 8 o'clock in the morning with my walking stick, my backpack and my shell. I stood up at the counter and proudly announced that I would like to enjoy a real, original, typical Spanish breakfast. Fully convinced that this would make the locals happy. That they would say, "Oh, finally someone asks for a typical Spanish breakfast." And the lady behind the counter reacted something like this. "Croissant?" Then I got a croissant. Let's see what I get tomorrow. Let's be surprised. I'll keep you up to date. Thank you so much for watching. On that note, check out my channel, watch some more videos of the Camino, and thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. For being there with me and watching all this stuff here. All the pilgrimage. Oh, now I almost dropped my phone. And if you're on YouTube, give me a thumbs up and activate the bell. And subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, so much. See you tomorrow. Bye.